your CIGTV News Update, I'm Donna Bush. Glad you could join us. Lord Ahmad of Wimbledon, the UK Foreign Office Minister, landed at Owen Roberts International Airport Wednesday morning for a full day of meetings. The one-day visit is part of a regional tour to discuss hurricane preparedness and public registers of beneficial ownership. Minister Ahmad met with the Premier, members of Cabinet, Leader of the Opposition, senior members of the financial services industry and other officials, as you'll hear in just a moment. After arriving, Minister Ahmad of Wimbledon went straight into those meetings with Premier McLaughlin, followed by a meeting with Leader of the Opposition, the Honourable Ezard Miller. Other meetings on his schedule included a briefing with Minister Tara Rivers and the team from Hazard Management Cayman Islands on hurricane preparedness. That was followed by hearing more about the RCIPS's helicopter deployment to overseas territory, Turks and Caicos Islands. Lord Ahmad spoke with the press about the issue of making public the registers of beneficial ownership.
I think you're referring, of course, to the bill which was passed in the British Parliament, and of course it's an act of law now. First and foremost, I would say we did not want to be in the position we were in. The government's position was always clear. We'd made some great progress with the overseas territories, and of course right here in Cayman with the exchange of notes, and also the fact that we were moving forward in a very positive way. I'm sure many of you followed the progress of the bill in Parliament. You would have seen my opening when the bill was introduced in the House of Lords, and subsequently when it was clear that we did not have the numbers and the support in the House of Commons to ensure some of the sensationalist comments, erroneous comments which were made against our various territories, that there was an ample defence given. I think we now move into the next phase, which is an important phase. This isn't about Britain withdrawing itself from our relationship with the overseas territories. They're part of the United Kingdom family. We're richer as Britain as part of having the overseas part and parcel of us. And my being here in Cayman so soon after that decision, whilst, as you can see, the backdrop is about focusing in on the disaster preparedness and preparedness for the hurricane season, it's also about ensuring that we continue with the strong relationship we have with the Cayman government. And I pay tribute to the Premier and his team, with whom I've worked very closely over the last year since my appointment, but also to give a very strong message that whilst there has been an act of Parliament and Parliament's will is sovereign, that we will work in a collaborative and collective fashion to ensure we mitigate any concerns we can address. And indeed, in my meetings today, apart from meeting with the Premier and his Cabinet, I met with the Leader of the Opposition, but also importantly the sector leaders from the financial service industry to ensure we can directly address the concerns, mitigate some of the issues. And you know, the relationship between the United Kingdom is a strong one. It's multifaceted. It goes through, you know, almost now, as I said to someone, over 3 centuries. We're coming up to 350 years of the British relationship. We have to strengthen that legacy. We have to build for the future, and it will be done on a partnership basis, a collaborative approach.
Well, the visit follows a further telephone discussion just last Thursday between Premier McLaughlin, Prime Minister Theresa May, and other leaders of the overseas territories to discuss company ownership, transparency, and in particular the issue of public registers of beneficial ownership. Well, the RCIPS is launching its 2018 Firearms Amnesty alongside Crime Stoppers, the Cayman Ministers Association, and other community organizations. It's all starting Friday, June 1st. Now, for the month of June, illegal firearms can be turned into police through a number of ways with no criminal repercussions.
Illegal firearms and gun crimes unsettle everyone. Since 2015 to present, we have recovered 63 guns. We did see a 30% reduction of firearm incidents last year. Nonetheless, firearm crimes continue to happen, and when they do, we all feel vulnerable, as individuals, as businesses, and as the community. Taking guns off the streets simply means less of these crimes. Police operations are just one way in doing this, but an amnesty is another, and we totally support this.
The amnesty, which is the first the RCIPS has held since 2011, will run for the entire month from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily. Deputy Commissioner of Police Mr. Kurt Walton said at the Thursday press briefing, "We, along with all of our partners in this campaign, just want to get as many guns as possible off the streets. Over the past 12 years, 33 young men have been killed with a firearm in the Cayman Islands. This is far too high a number for our small islands and a sobering statistic." A video PSA is being released in conjunction with the amnesty on June 1st, which provides a visual demonstration and breakdown of how to secure a firearm for surrender and the different options for turning it in. The video can be viewed on the RCIPS's website at rcips.ky starting the first day of the amnesty. Again, that's on June the 1st. Finally today, Minister for Finance, the Honourable Roy McTaggart, recently made 2 presentations over 2 days to members of the Chamber of Commerce and the Cayman Islands Institute of Professional Accountants. He tells us his presentations covered 3 broad categories.
I first of all talked about the current state of affairs of the Cayman economy. And secondly, I talked about the present state of affairs of government's own finances, and also gave them a snapshot of what we see unfolding in the next 2 to 3 years in the medium term. Now, in talking about the present state of the economy, I particularly highlighted that the broadest indicator that we have, or in terms of measuring the country's economic growth, is that of our GDP, or gross domestic product. And I shared with them just how positive the early indicators are as to how the economy grew in 2017, and that basically all of the parameters were showing increases from the previous year, which showed us that the economy is expanding, although at a moderate rate. All segments of the economy are participating in the growth, although it is led by this construction industry as well as financial services. And so it should come as no surprise to anyone with regard to the numbers that I gave that these are the real positive indicators of what's happening in the economy. When I took a look too as well at government finances, I laid out quite clearly just how for the last 5 years government has generated strong surpluses that exceed $100 million every year. And what that translates into in terms of government's abilities to do things is that it funds and gives us the ability to develop a lot of the infrastructure projects that government is working on, as well as provide increased services to the public that they are demanding. And we're able to do that simply from the surpluses that we have. We're doing it without the need to borrow. And yet still, all the while, we continue to pay down government debt and get the debt down to a much lower level than it was certainly when I became a member of the Legislative Assembly in 2013. So very significant improvements in government's overall finances over the years, and the year ended 2017, December 31st, was no exception. We had a surplus of about $138 million. And again, we were able during that time period to continue to pay down the debt, paying down some debt as well in advance of the actual maturities of it, because we simply had the extra cash available and there were no penalties for us to paying off the loan early. What surprised me, I think, from both occasions and from both speaking opportunities was the fact that although a lot of the information, in fact, most of the information that I presented to both audiences is readily available in the local media and certainly on government websites. But it doesn't seem as if the population is actively searching for this sort of stuff, because many were just surprised at how positive the economic situation was and how positive government's finances are. And that was one of the takeaways for me, is that I think as a government, a country, we need to do a better job of telling the good news and telling the good story.
Minister McTaggart explained that both presentations were well attended, but there was something that surprised him. But now for a look at our weekly schedule of shows here on CIG Television, you can go online to gis.gov.ky and click on the icon that says Publications at the bottom of the front page. If you missed today's news update, you can go to the Cayman Islands Government Facebook page as well as the CIG Television YouTube channel. For now, I'm Donna Bush with your CIGTV News Update. As always, thanks for joining us. I hope you'll do the same again on Friday evening. Until then, bye-bye for now.